Shalom, my friends. I am Rabbi Yosef, and today I am going to shatter a spiritual lie that has kept millions of good, God-fearing people trapped in a cycle of financial struggle. I will reveal the one verse, the single sentence that has been twisted for centuries to convince you that God wants you poor. This is not a sermon about positive thinking. This is a spiritual excavation. We are going to dig down to the bedrock of your belief system and remove the poison that has been blocking the flow of divine abundance into your life. Once you understand its true meaning, the chains of scarcity will not just break, they will dissolve into dust, and your financial destiny will be completely and irrevocably rewired. But before I unveil this powerful, liberating truth, I need you to make a declaration of readiness. This is not just a comment. It is a spiritual act, a contract between your present self and your prosperous future. Go to the comments right now and write, "I am a vessel for abundance." By writing these words, you are signaling to the universe, to your own soul, and to God that you are no longer willing to play small. You are open, you are ready, and you are claiming the prosperity that is your divine birthright. Our mission here is to gather an army of 100,000 souls dedicated to mastering this spiritual technology and building lives of wealth, health, and freedom. This is a revolution of consciousness. If you are ready to be one of them, if you are ready to answer that call to greatness, subscribe to this channel now and join the movement. And for those who are truly serious, for those who feel a burning desire to accelerate their journey from struggle to significance, for a limited time, I am opening the doors to the Torah Millionaire Business School for just $299. This is not a course, it is an arsenal. It is where I unveil the complete Torah wealth system, the step-by-step blueprint for building generational wealth on a foundation of ancient wisdom. The doors are closing very soon. The link is in the comments. Do not hesitate. Your future self will thank you. I know the deep, gnawing pain of believing that spirituality and poverty are partners. I know this because I lived it. For years, I was trapped in a prison of my own making, a prison built from misinterpretation and religious guilt. I wore my financial lack like a badge of honor. I believed that to be a holy man, a man of God, I had to reject wealth. I saw money as something dirty, something that would inevitably corrupt my soul and pull me away from my true purpose. I would read the scriptures and feel a hot flush of shame for desiring more, for wanting to provide for my family in a bigger way, for dreaming of having an impact on the world that requires resources. I remember a specific moment, a quiet Tuesday afternoon in my study. The light was slanting through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. I was looking at a pile of bills on my desk, the mortgage, the car payment, the school tuition, and a wave of cold, metallic anxiety washed over me. It was the familiar feeling of being behind, of being suffocated by obligation. I had a deep, burning desire to fund a new community project, a soup kitchen for the homeless, but my bank account was a stark testament to my piety. I was spiritually rich and financially destitute, and in that moment of quiet desperation, a dangerous, seductive thought entered my mind. Perhaps this is God's will. Perhaps this struggle is my righteous path. Perhaps this suffering makes me holy. I was confusing poverty with purity. I was trying to solve my financial problems with the very consciousness that created them, praying for a miracle while simultaneously believing, in the deepest chambers of my heart, that I was unworthy of receiving one. I was living a profound contradiction, and it was crushing my spirit, my marriage, and my potential. This spiritual sickness, this insidious belief that God desires our lack, is almost always anchored to one specific verse. You have heard it 1,000 times, quoted to justify poverty and to make the ambitious feel ashamed. It is found in the New Testament, in 1 Timothy 6:10, and it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." For centuries, this verse has been used as a spiritual club to beat down the aspirations of good people. It has been wielded by well-meaning but misguided preachers and by the cynical and controlling to create a false dichotomy between wealth and righteousness. But this interpretation is a profound and damaging misunderstanding of the original text and the entire spiritual tradition it comes from. Let us perform some spiritual archaeology. Let us look at the original Greek. The phrase translated as "the love of money" is philargyria. This is not a neutral term for wealth or the desire to build a better life. Philargyria is a compound word, philo meaning love or fondness, and argyros meaning silver. But in the cultural context, it meant far more than a simple fondness. It meant avarice, greed, a miserly, obsessive, hoarding impulse. It speaks of a consciousness where money is not a tool, but a false god. The verse is not condemning money. It is condemning the worship of money. It is a warning against allowing greed to become the organizing principle of your life, the idol to which you sacrifice your family, your integrity, and your soul. This is perfectly, beautifully aligned with 3,000 years of Torah wisdom. Our great patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were not poor ascetics wandering in the desert. They were the wealthiest, most influential men of their age, commanding vast resources. King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, was also the richest. The Torah does not see wealth as a sin. It sees wealth as a blessing, a tool, and a profound responsibility. It is a form of energy that, when circulated with wisdom and generosity, can be used to build communities, to heal the sick, to educate the ignorant, and to bring more light into a dark world. The problem is not having money. The problem is when money has you. The verse is a warning against spiritual enslavement, not financial success. This single, flawed interpretation has given birth to a spiritual sickness, an infection of the mind that I call the poverty consciousness virus. It is one of the most destructive forces on the planet, and it operates with the devastating subtlety of a cancer. This virus convinces you that your desire for a better life is a moral failing. It whispers in your ear that you are greedy for wanting to escape debt, that you are unholy for wanting to build a business, that you are less spiritual if your bank account is full. It makes you apologize for your ambition. And here is the insidious mechanism of this virus. It creates a civil war between your soul and your circumstances. You pray to God for abundance, but your subconscious mind, infected by this virus, believes that abundance is evil. So, when an opportunity appears, you sabotage it. When a promotion is offered, you feel unworthy. You create an invisible ceiling on your own success because you have been taught to associate wealth with sin. The poverty consciousness virus doesn't just block money, it blocks the divine flow of blessing in all areas of your life. It disconnects you from your own power as a co-creator with God, convincing you to play small in a universe of infinite possibility. It is the spiritual equivalent of an autoimmune disease where your own belief system attacks your potential for growth and joy. It is a lie that, when believed, becomes your reality. I was trapped in this spiritual prison for years, praying for freedom while reinforcing the walls of my own cell with every passing day. The turning point for me was not a lightning bolt from heaven. It was a quiet, profound moment of study. Late one night, surrounded by ancient leather-bound books. I was deep in the Talmud, reading the commentaries of the ancient sages on the nature of blessings. I came across a teaching from Rabbi Eliezer that stated, "Where there is no bread, there is no Torah." It struck me like a physical blow. The sages, in their infinite wisdom, understood a fundamental truth. Our spiritual lives are not separate from our physical lives. You cannot properly serve God or your community from a place of desperate, grinding lack. And then I went back to that verse in Timothy, but this time I read it with new eyes, with the context of the Torah's holistic perspective on prosperity. I saw the word philargyria, avarice, and the entire universe shifted on its axis. The verse wasn't a condemnation of wealth. It was a diagnosis of a specific spiritual sickness. I realized I had not been fighting against God's will by wanting to build a better life. I had been fighting against a misinterpretation. It was a lie, a virus that had held me captive. In that moment, the guilt and shame I had carried for years began to dissolve like salt in water. It was as if a great weight was lifted from my soul. I understood that God does not want us to be poor. God wants us to be channels. He wants to pour blessings through us, not just to us. And for the first time, I gave myself permission to become a bigger channel, to build, to create, and to prosper, not for my own sake, but for the sake of the good I could do in the world. Now, let me give you the practical application. This is the spiritual technology to permanently delete the poverty consciousness virus from your operating system. I call it the Divine Prosperity Protocol. It is a simple 3-step process that will realign your consciousness with the truth of abundance. Do not be deceived by its simplicity. This is a powerful spiritual practice that has changed the lives of thousands of my students. Step 1. You must reclaim the verse. Every morning for the next 30 days, before you look at your phone, before you drink your coffee, you will stand before a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say this out loud: "Money is not evil. The love of money is evil. I am not a lover of money. I am a master of it. I am a channel for divine abundance, and I use wealth to serve God and to serve others." You must say it with intention, with feeling. You are not just repeating words, you are reprogramming your subconscious mind. You are replacing the virus with the truth. You are declaring your new reality into existence. Step 2. You must bless your money. Every time money comes into your hands, whether it is your paycheck, a gift, a payment for your services, or even a coin you find on the street, you must pause for a moment. Hold it in your hands, close your eyes, and say, "Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol niyeh bidvaro." Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word all things come to be. You are acknowledging the true source of all wealth. This simple act transforms your relationship with money from one of anxiety and grasping to one of gratitude and reverence. It reminds you that you are a steward, not an owner. Money becomes a current of blessing flowing through you. Step 3. You must circulate your money with intention. Once a week, you must give a small amount of money away without any expectation of return. It can be $1 to a homeless person, a small donation to a charity you believe in, or a surprise gift to a friend. The amount is irrelevant. The intention is everything. As you give it, say to yourself, "As I give, so shall I receive." The channel is open and the flow is constant. This act breaks the hoarding instinct of the ego, which is the core of philargyria. It activates the spiritual law of circulation. It proves to the universe and to yourself that you trust in its infinite supply. You are demonstrating your faith not with your words, but with your actions. Let me tell you about a student of mine, David. David was a talented artist, but he was constantly, painfully struggling. He was deeply infected with the poverty consciousness virus, believing that to be a pure artist, he had to be a starving one. He came to me, his shoulders slumped, his eyes full of frustration and defeat. I taught him the divine prosperity protocol. He was skeptical, but he was also desperate. He committed to the practice. For 30 days, he was diligent. Within 3 weeks, he called me, his voice trembling with an excitement I had never heard from him before. A prestigious gallery that had rejected his work twice before suddenly called him out of the blue, offering him a solo exhibition. He sold 3 of his largest paintings on opening night for more money than he had made in the previous 6 months combined. He didn't become a different artist. He became a different channel. The virus was gone, and the divine flow could finally move through him unimpeded. Let me tell you about another student, Sarah. Sarah was a single mother working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. She believed that her poverty was her punishment for past mistakes, that God was keeping her poor as a form of discipline. She was exhausted, resentful, and on the verge of giving up. I taught her the divine prosperity protocol. She began the practice, even though she felt foolish at first, speaking blessings over the few dollars she had. Within 5 weeks, she received an unexpected call from a former employer offering her a position that paid twice what she was making at both jobs combined. But more importantly, her entire demeanor changed. The bitterness left her face. She began to see opportunities where she once saw only obstacles. She told me, "Rabbi, I feel like I've been living in a dark room my whole life, and you just showed me where the light switch was." And let me tell you about Michael. Michael was a business owner who was making good money, but he was terrified of losing it. He hoarded every dollar, afraid to invest, afraid to give, afraid to enjoy the fruits of his labor. He was rich in his bank account, but poor in his soul. I taught him the divine prosperity protocol, specifically the 3rd step about circulation. He resisted at first. The idea of giving money away felt reckless to him. But he committed. He started small, giving $10 a week to a local food bank. Within 2 months, his business received its largest contract ever, worth over $200,000. But the real transformation was internal. He told me, "Rabbi, I used to lie awake at night worrying about money. Now I sleep like a baby. I finally understand that the more I give, the more I receive. The universe is not a miser, it is a fountain." Now, I know the objection that is rising in your mind. It is the last gasp of the virus trying to protect itself. You are thinking, "But Rabbi, isn't it selfish to want to be rich? Doesn't God want us to be humble?" I understand this question. It comes from a good place, a place of wanting to be righteous. But it is based on a false premise. It equates wealth with selfishness. But the truth is, poverty is the most selfish state of all. When you are poor, your entire world, by necessity, shrinks down to one thing: your own survival. Your thoughts are consumed with your own lack, your own bills, your own problems. You have no excess capacity, not of time, not of energy, not of resources, to give to others. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. And it is infinitely easier to think of yourself less when your own needs are met and your cup is overflowing. Wealth, in the hands of a conscious person, is the ultimate tool for service. It allows you to solve bigger problems, to help more people, and to extend your circle of concern far beyond your own front door. It allows you to be an answer to someone else's prayer. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, you will commit to the Divine Prosperity Protocol. You will commit to rewiring your consciousness and becoming a living, breathing vessel for abundance. Here are your 3 immediate, non-negotiable actions to begin this sacred journey today. First, go back to the comments and write, "I am committed." This is your contract with yourself and with God. It is a public declaration of your intent. Second, set a daily reminder on your phone for the next 30 days to perform the 3 steps of the protocol. Do not miss a single day. Consistency is the key that unlocks the door to transformation. Third, identify the first recipient of your intentional circulation. Decide right now where you will give that first dollar. Do not delay. Action is the antidote to despair. And here is a bonus tip for those who want to go even deeper, for those who want to accelerate their results. Find one person in your life who is also struggling with the poverty consciousness virus and teach them this protocol. The fastest way to master a spiritual principle is to teach it to someone else. In healing them, you will heal yourself on an even deeper, more permanent level. You will become a source of the very blessing you seek. I am praying for you. I am holding the vision of you as a powerful, prosperous, and generous soul, a beacon of light and a fountain of blessing in your community. May you be blessed with the wisdom to see the truth that has been hidden from you. May you be blessed with the courage to break free from the lies that have held you captive for so long. And may you be blessed with such an overflow of abundance, such a torrent of financial and spiritual wealth, that you have no choice but to become a blessing to the entire world. Shalom.